taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q Broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including HBO, Cinemax, and Stars. And the best part? There are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy streaming live TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices at once. Whether you're at home or on the go, Q Broadcast makes sure your entertainment is always at your fingertips. Imagine being able to watch all your favorite channels from anywhere, anytime, without any restrictions. We're talking about thousands of movies, hundreds of TV series, and a huge library of live channels, all in one place. And don't forget video on demand and pay-per-view events. Those are included at no extra cost, so you'll never miss a big event again. Now, take a second and think about your current cable bill. You're probably paying anywhere between $100 and $300 every month, locked into long-term contracts and hit with surprise rate increases. With Q Broadcast, that's a thing of the past. It's just $60 a month. No contracts, no extra fees, no hidden costs, and no price hikes. Why juggle multiple subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, and cable when Q Broadcast gives you everything you need in one convenient package? People everywhere are switching to Q Broadcast, saving money and getting more content than ever before. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and sign up for Q Broadcast today. Just $60 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. It's time to take control of your entertainment and start streaming smarter.
We live in a world where men are told it's harmless. It's just entertainment. But let's stop lying to ourselves. Pornography destroys. It weakens your spirit. It dulls your drive. And it robs you of what real intimacy is supposed to be. Every click is a step away from the man you're supposed to be. We can't call ourselves leaders if we are slaves to a screen.
As someone that is prior service, I know all about discipline. And discipline isn't out there, it's within your mind. Porn rewires your brain, weakens your will, wrecks all of your relationships. It doesn't just stay on a screen, it invades your marriage, your confidence, and your actual purpose. As men, if we don't learn to discipline ourselves, we'll be ruled by our impulses. Now, it is time to stand up and take control before this silent war takes more than you're willing to lose.
Real men don't hide in the shadows of shame. We step up and we protect what's ours. We fight for our wives and kids, our own hearts. Twitter isn't just an app, it's a weapon. It's a tool used to break free and start living like the man that you're meant to be. The battle's here and it starts with you. You can stop living in shame and you can break free today.
Here at the Anomic Age, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the Anomic Age, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the John Age Project at anomicage.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response. Shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement, then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems.
What?
I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
You know something is wrong, and it's time to stand up. You are listening to The John Age Show.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age, and I'm your host, John Age. Happy to be back with you once again in the not-so-wee hours of the PM. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. We got a great show coming up. We're going to speak with none other than Michael Yon. Please check out anomicage.com if you've not already done so. Like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions. PayPal.me/AnomicAge, Patreon.com/AnomicAge as well is the best places to support me and this show. Can't underestimate that or reiterate that enough. Please, PayPal.me/AnomicAge, Patreon.com/AnomicAge as well. The free iPhone app, the free Android app, the free newsletter, the subscribe by email link, and so much more right there at AnomicAge.com. All the video, all the audio of all the shows, and the information breakdown segments right there too. All right, to save some time, let's get right into it. We are joined by our guest today, Michael Yon. Michael Yon is a combat correspondent, author, photographer, and dare I say, expert on what's going on at the Darien Gap, as well as the mass invasion we call illegal immigration going on at our southern border. You can find his work right there, michaelyon.com. He's also available on Twitter, and I do believe Instagram as well. So, thank you so much, Michael, for being with us today.
Yeah, we've been on the border a lot recently, and in recent times, let's say, not just recently, like down in Panama, the Darien Gap. I just got video just came in now from Darien Gap. It's just being completely flooded down there. I mean, the amount of aliens coming from Colombia in through Panama to the United States is exploding. And this is facilitated by the United States government. It's not just incompetence. It's not incompetence. Our government is doing it. I'm saying that with 100% certainty, which is something you don't normally hear me say 100% certainty. But I'm watching this everywhere I go. I'm watching the United States do it in front of my eyes, right? We are encouraging the aliens to come to the United States. We are then facilitating them to come to the United States. Then we're helping them across the border. I'm seeing every step of the way, right? And then once they cross the border, at least some of them are being assigned districts to go to. We first ran across the district that you may have seen that break in the news in about the last week. I was with Chuck Holton and a few others. We were in El Paso, and we were on the street, and we were talking with some Venezuelans, and they were saying, "Oh, I'm going to Chicago," and that sort of thing. And I think one was New York and a couple of other places. But then Chuck, continued to push. And how did you decide to go to Chicago? Do you have family there or something? He's like, no. The people in the tents told us where to go. We're like, what do you mean? And he's like, anyway, we continued to research, and actually the U.S. government is telling them where to go, is actually giving them paperwork and tickets, bus tickets to go to these places, right? So we immediately blasted that out because we're on the ground gathering raw information. We don't always have time to then go check out who the hotel owners are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this sorts of things. So we when we're gathering this raw information, we have to feed it back to people that can then work and to make it into intelligence, right? So we both published these people are being assigned locations. They weren't the only ones we talked with. Once we got that clue, we started asking quite a lot of other people, and other people, quite a lot, were telling us the same things. So, it was a done deal. We were seeing their paperwork. We were photographing their paperwork. They're definitely being sent places, right? And then, then some people looked into it as we published that, and they found more information. And you can see online now, if you web search about articles, for people that are being, just coming across the border and being sent to districts. You saw those black folks up in Chicago, I think it was, and they were on television saying, or maybe it was on YouTube, it was a video anyway, saying, hey, only a few people, like I think maybe they said 40 or 50, I'm sorry, I don't recall the numbers, people that are brought into our districts will tip our district. It won't be a black vote anymore, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. Not that that's not racist, but in any case, they're getting a taste of racism coming back at them. This time it will be by other black folks, by the way, and Latinos and stuff, right? And it's clear. We've been warning. I've been telling black people a lot, like, you have no idea. You are being targeted, and it's not by us white folks. You know what I mean? It's not that. I'm just an American. I'm not white or black. I'm just American. I'm telling you, the World Economic Forum and the Chinese Communist Party are working very hard to overthrow the United States government, governments all over Europe and Japan. Of course, Australia and Kiwi land seems to be gone with the wind, New Zealand. And Canada, of course. Look what's happened there. I've told Canadians for years, I travel a lot, as you know. Really a lot. I spent more than half my life downrange in about 90 countries, right? So I really travel significantly. And so many times I've told Canadians over the years, I don't want to hear your little thoughts about gun control. Don't even bring it up. It's you and the Germans and the British that are always bringing, especially English, they're always bringing this up. I don't care. You're a slave. You don't even have freedom of speech. You and the English and the Germans, you don't have freedom of speech. You're just a slave, right? And now you want to give up your guns. You don't even have freedom of speech, and you want to give up guns too. You can't even make up this stuff. I will not be lectured by slaves. And so the bottom line is we're being invaded right now. We're being invaded by people who have no idea what a constitution is, or have no concept of freedom or anything like that, right? They say they're going to the United States for freedom, but when you really dig down into that, what they're saying is they're going to the United States for money, right?
Yeah.
There are very few that are actually running from a war, but that's actually uncommon. The ones who are really running from something other than prison are actually pretty uncommon. The ones with honest asylum claims are actually uncommon. Actually, if you're coming with asylum claims, you should be stopping at the first country that's near that you stop in, right?
Yeah.
Let's say if you leave Syria and you go to Jordan, you should be stopping in Jordan, right? or Turkey, you should be stopping in Turkey, right? So you shouldn't be going through Brazil and Ecuador and Chile and all these different countries, and then finally, just the minutes route all over spaghetti everywhere, and then finally end up in Darien Gap and up through Costa Rica, which is Panama safe, Costa Rica safe. The Guatemala is practically emptied out. There's villages in Guatemala that are empty because they're up in the United States, and that's serious. Yeah, and so, but all these different countries and Mexico again. Now, people would say Mexico's got the big drug wars, and that's true. And also, a huge amount of people go to Mexico to buy homes. A huge amount of people go to Mexico every day to go on vacation in places like Cancun, right? Yeah. So it's not like all of Mexico's at war. There's places in the United States that you would be insane. I was on Skid Row, yesterday or day before, I guess. Skid Row is like unbelievable. You know what I mean? Would you go there? You know what I'm saying? But these people, these aliens are being shipped into the United States. I'm telling you, what you're seeing right now is millions per year. Nobody knows how many. Let's say 3 million would be a defensible number. Let's say 3 million in the next year. That you could defend that number. That is nothing compared to what's coming. I'm watching this. I have networks all over the place. I always travel to different countries, checking out the ground situation. I'm telling you, the inputs are increasing. Information I'm getting right now today and yesterday and the day before from Colombia and the Darien Gap on the Colombia and Panama side, they're just getting overwhelmed with numbers that they've never seen before, right? So, I mean, it's quite intense. So you see these news reports in the last week or 10 days or whatever since Title 42 did its thing. The numbers are decreasing. That's nonsense. This is a lot of people are flying in now. I'm watching people. Even if the numbers decrease 90% permanently, it would still be an overwhelming number of people coming across the border. Mm-hmm. Even if it was 90% lower permanently, it would still be far too many that we can't handle while our economy is collapsing. And a lot of the criminality, by the way, that's happening, murders, rapes, and whatnot in the United States, such as in El Paso, is being committed by people who just got to the United States. And like in El Paso, the police are not even allowed to ask the immigration status of people. You'll be crushed as a police. You can go there and ask the policeman in El Paso. Like there was just a rape and a murder. I don't know if it's in the news yet. I think it was by an El Salvadorian woman was raped and murdered in a hotel room. I don't know if this is in the news yet. And it was killed by a Mexican illegal. She was killed by a Mexican illegal alien, right? Mm-hmm. So it's two illegal aliens. One's murdered in a hotel room in the United States, and the other's a Mexican, right? I don't know that that's in the news at all, actually. So maybe it is, or maybe it's in the news that some body was found. You know what I mean? But it doesn't go into the details that she was an illegal alien prostitute and that he murdered her in a hotel room, right?
Man. Who's running these tents that you mentioned that's sort of giving the marching orders to all these people? Is this NGOs that are just getting U.S. tax dollars, or is this actual, like, U.S. agencies at these different, pop-up tents telling people to go to Chicago, go to L.A., go to Charlotte? Who's running that?
Well, that's on our side of the border, so that's the United States government, right? On the Panamanian, or let's say all these different places, Colombia, Panama, like the rape kits. I've got one here somewhere, that are handed out. Actually, I just got news from a doctor in Colombia that the rape kits are not being handed out anymore. It might be because I and others have been showing these rape kits on the news. We've been showing the same rape kit. I'll hand it to one guy and he'll do an interview. And then he'll hand it back. There's a rape kit that I picked up down in Panama. These rape kits are kits that are, most of the women, they say all the pretty women who go through Darien Gap get raped, and a lot of the children, right? So they hand out these rape kits. They have female condoms, male condoms, and abortion pills, a little flat. You want me to get it for you? I got it right over here.
Yeah, sure,
Stand
if you
by.
want, man.
I'll go get it. Yeah.
This is so unbelievable, but following your work, it's really not, because I've kind of become accustomed to seeing this mess, but.
Yeah. Rape kits. You can't even make up this stuff, man. It's just like so bizarre. But I was told, the Columbia doctor just told me, he said they stopped handing them out. And I wonder if that's because like some congressman asked me for more kits, so I sent somebody down to Columbia to get them. And they're not there. And they said they stopped handing them out. I don't know if that's because of our work and reporting them, but it's mysterious timing. But
Is it the Panamanian government handing these out, or is it?
No. It's these guys.
Oh, okay.
OIM. It's these guys. So this is the rape kit. This is an actual rape kit, right? This is they're an arm. They're the immigration arm of the United Nations, right?
Good
is that in focus? Anyway,
yeah.
So these guys, right? No, sorry. Anyway, so it comes with a nice flashlight, so that you can see who's raping you, I guess. And I dropped it on the floor of my hotel recently, and it shattered. But I put it back together. It works again. Thing's probably worth like $2. This is a female condom, right?
Yeah.
And male condom in the rape kit, right? And then they've got these abortion pills, right? These are so if you get raped, you can abort your baby in the jungle. Yep. And then they had Red Cross hands out these maps. It's interesting. A deputy the other night said he saw a map held up on some program, and I said it was probably actually this map, and it was probably me holding it up. It was probably this actual map, because I got this down in the Darien Gap. This is a map that Red Cross hands out.
Yeah.
It gives phone numbers and details of where to go. Actually, let me hold up the QR code.
Yeah, it's blurring it out a little bit for some reason, but
here, let me show the QR code, and then I'll hold it straight so people can get this QR code, and you can get this map yourself. In some countries, it doesn't. Is it blurry?
It's blurring it out for some reason. That's better, yeah. Sort of. Yeah, it was doing it good. That's pretty decent. Yeah, that's good.
Screenshot it.
Perfect. Got it.
You got it? Screenshot it? Okay.
It looks
so
good.
that way you can get your own map. But some people in the United States say it won't come up for them unless I think you need a VPN or something. And get this one too. This is on the same map. Oh, shoot. And it's got all the phone numbers of the places. Is it good?
Still looking a little squirrely.
Let me pull it back. Oh, Lord.
And it's not catching that one.
Oh, sorry.
Well, the first one worked, but not this one for some reason. It's still blurring.
I wonder why. I wonder if it's intentionally doing that. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. Let me try one more thing, because
all right.
I don't quit quickly. Is it working?
Nah, it's still fuzzing it out. I mean, that's looking a heck of a lot better, though. But
I'll say, let's try one more time, because I know somebody out there wants this thing.
Yeah. Come on.
Maybe it's because sorry about this, guys.
I mean, that's looking pretty all right, but it's still a little squirrely.
I can send it to you, and then you can just...
I can put it in the show links.
Yeah, anyway, so this map has all these numbers on it, like, what, about 90 numbers or something? And 90 or 87. So it's got all these different, numbers, dots on the map.
Yeah.
Different places. And down here, if you look at the number on the map, and you look here, it'll tell you, what that is. That's a place to get legal help or food or medical or something like that, and it has phone numbers and email addresses and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean this is totally industrialized, man. These people. There's a lot of people think that they're just showing up because they're running from a fire. Godzilla squashing their neighborhoods. Nope, this is completely industrialized.
And who's putting out these maps? Is it the same company as putting out the rape kits?
It's Red Cross. Red Cross. When we got this map, Red Cross actually that map. I'll show you another map too. Red Cross. When we were getting this map down in the Darien Gap, they tried to cut their logo off of it.
Man.
Like, what? You don't want You're not proud that Red Cross is doing this? You're not proud that Red Cross is giving people a map so they can get through the jungle and use their rape kit? You know what I mean? They're disgusting, man.
It's
and
so
Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders. There's a lot of good doctors in Doctors Without Borders. I mean, their heart is in it, and they think they're doing the right thing, and I think in their minds that they are. But doctors, I call the organization itself Doctors Without Morals. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is another map. This one is actually handed out by Doctors Without Borders, and it's it's another.
It back just a little bit. It seemed to work really good for a second, and then it shoots it out of focus. It's still out of focus. I don't know what the world's up.
Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Anyway, bottom line is it's just another map, and this one's by Doctors Without Borders. Yeah, it's funny. This other map that I showed you before, or maybe it's this one. It's actually got instructions on like don't get on the outside of a train drunk, stuff like that. You can't make up this stuff because there's a lot of them. They catch these rides on trains and they're falling off trains all the time. So basically, migrants coming up to aliens coming to the United States. They have to be instructed not to get on the outside of trains drunk. Do I really want those kind of people? If you're so stupid that you're going to get on the outside of a train drunk, I really don't want you as a new migrant or alien in the United States when our economy's collapsing. I don't see that you're going to bring a lot of help to the United States. Yeah.
I mean, this thing is so well organized. I've been trying to get Matt Brackett on. I can't get a hold of him anymore, but I know he does so much work with the La Reconquista and this asymmetrical warfare, and that's exactly what this seems like. I know you posted some pictures a couple days ago of these really great-looking bushcraft at the border, and I was like, man, that looks good. How did they just happen to throw this up in a night or something?
Man, a Border Patrol guy sent me some photos. I said, "Ooh, that looks like Afghanistan or Indian," because I spent 2 years in Afghanistan, all over Afghanistan.
Yeah,
and I spent a year in India and another year in Nepal, and rolling around Bangladesh. And all. So I'm like, I know that, and so I asked him, can he go back out and see if there's Indians or Afghans there? And so the Border Patrol friend went back out there, and he said, yeah, there's a bunch of Indians and Afghans. And he said, actually, they've got like a pecking order. Like the guys who know how to build those things are making a lot of money off the ones who don't. Like he's like the Colombians, they try to make it and they don't know what they're doing, man. They're jungle people. This is desert plants and stuff. And those desert dwellers know how to live, especially Afghans. Like I had lunch with an Afghan friend the other day that I know from Afghanistan. Actually, he was almost a suicide bomber in Afghanistan, and that's an interesting story. And now we're having lunch together in Temecula, California. You can't make up this stuff, man. Like these maps and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, and he's a friend of mine. Now, I mean, let me tell you the story about how he almost became a suicide bomber. He speaks 5 languages. He speaks English very well. I mean, he would understand everything we're saying. At the speed we're talking, he would not miss a word. It's totally fluent English. He's got an accent, but it's a very, very good. And so, and he speaks. He's a Baluch person, so he speaks Baluch language, and he speaks Pashtun fluently. He learned. He speaks Urdu. He speaks Farsi. How many is that? 5 languages. He speaks Farsi, Urdu, Pashtun, Baluch, and English. And I said, how good is your Pashtun, for instance, compared to, Baluch is his native language, right? I said, how good is your Pashtun compared to English? He said, oh, much better. I'm like, how could it be much better? You know what I mean? He's like, I was just like, yeah, I mean, your English is actually perfect except for the accent. And he's got a very commanding vocabulary as well. You know what I mean? Like he's a smart guy. So I was rolling around out with him in the desert, not with U.S. forces. I was with Tim Lynch, a friend of mine, retired Marine officer. And Tim Lynch and I were out there rolling around. It was very interesting. And finally, I'm talking with this guy. His name's Zabi. And I said, why are you looking at me? And he was looking at his phone, and looking at me, looking at his phone. He's like, he was trying to figure out if this was me. And he said, he said to me, he goes, you saved my life, right? And I said, how did I save your life? It's kind of an odd way to start a conversation, And he goes, well, he was going to be a suicide bomber. Man. He said he's Afghan. He's Baluch. Well, Baluchs don't call themselves Afghan. But anyway, he's Baluch. And he lives in Nimruz province, Afghanistan, right? Or did. Now he lives in California. And so, and he said, he was watching those Blackwater videos from Iraq, right? On videos. And he's like, look what they were doing to the Muslims. He thought Americans were just coming over to kill Muslims. And then he started doing his homework, gathering intelligence to do a suicide attack, right? And he came across my work, because you got to keep in mind, my work at that time was as big as like CNN, right? Yeah. I mean, it was just like, I had millions and millions of readers. That was like with Bruce Willis wanting to do a movie type stuff. You know what I mean? Literally, Amazing. And so he found my work easily. And he found one photo that I made of a soldier carrying a girl after suicide car bomb actually, and the little girl was bleeding. Her name was Farah. And she died. And but he said when he started reading my work for intelligence, actually to do an attack, he realized that we don't all hate them, and like I obviously didn't hate them at all. I've spent years out running around with Muslims alone, just me and Velm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still here and I'm still happy, and like I don't feel a threat from people just because they're Muslims. You know what I mean? With caveat at times, and I've joked about this with Zabi, of course, and like Zabi almost became a suicide bomber. So he was gathering the intelligence and he was getting ready to do it, right? And then he started reading my work, and then he said, "Well, I don't want to do it actually because he thought that some of us." He should probably be try to make friends with us or something and figure out more. And anyway, now he lives in California. I was just out with him the other day, asking if he'll go with me to the border and translate for me. You know, can you even make up this stuff? I mean, and I know, and I took a friend to Antonio Aguera to lunch with Zabi, and Zabi told the story right in front of Antonio. Antonio's like, "Are you kidding me?" Because I'm telling you, he's a good guy, but he was pushed to the limit. And I'm telling you, Baluch people are like, Antonio has more Mexican heritage. He's American, straight up American, but like it's an honor culture, right? I said they have an honor culture, and if we're demeaning their people, they're gonna fight, dude. They're gonna come at you like dukes up.
Yeah.
They're not. These are not sissy boys. These are not like boys sitting around smoking dope all the time. They'll go at you. You know what I mean? I mean, they're still men. You know what I mean?
They have that ancestral trait that we seem to have lost here in the West. Or at least we've lost a whole lot of it.
That's one of the reasons I get along with Afghans, actually. You know, I spent 2 years in Afghanistan. I spent a year with U.S. forces like Marines and the Army and that sort of thing. And I was out with British forces quite a lot, actually, in Sangin, which is the most dangerous district in all of Afghanistan. Out of about 400 districts, nobody wanted to go out there. The British said, "Will you come?" And I'm like, "Send me a helicopter." I went out there. That's where I did the Cop Etchells photos, right? It was a lot of firefights, and it was straight up. It was game on. Jeez. But the thing is that the Afghan – I was out with – so I spent 1 year with various militaries, right, like Lithuanians, British, Americans. And then 1 year I was just alone, right? I was just out running around with tribes and farmers. And at one point I'm like, why are we even fighting these guys? Because I'm out with the farmers all the time. You know what farmers want to talk about? They want to talk about the same stuff that farmers talk about in Netherlands or Poland or America, the small farms. I mean, they want to talk about the rain. They want to talk about their new tractor. They want to talk about they got a new grandchild or a new son or a daughter. They want to show you like, oh, here's my wife. You know, you want some more tea? You know, that's what they want to talk about. And the Afghan farmers are the same way. The Afghan farmers want to talk about the rain and like or this one Afghan farmer. Listen, this is kind of a funny story. So I'm just out there with one cross-eyed guard with an AK, literally cross-eyed. He's about 70 years old, and he's got an AK. He was funny, man. And I took him all over the place, and because I was going to grab his rifle if I ever needed it. He thought he was my security guard, but he was really my weapons bearer. And so sometimes when you hire security, it's so that you can get their weapons. So so I'm out there with the South African farmer and then my weapons bearer, let's say. And so I'm on this farm and he's growing opium. And so the Afghans, they're growing opium because it makes more – there's reasons why they grow it. Actually, they don't like to grow it. Yeah. But there's specific reasons why they started – they would rather grow grapes. They make more money on grapes and pomegranates, and it's less work. But anyway, I won't go into why they grow opium, but they really prefer not to. But they do. And so he's showing me his opium. He's like, you know, these insects through my interpreter. I had an interpreter too. And so there was actually there was the South African farmer, my weapons bearer, and the interpreter, and then us in this really wild Afghan village in this farm field, right? And he goes, the farmer's like, "Oh, the Americans are putting these insects on my poppy," and I was like, "How?" And he goes, "Oh, you're coming at nighttime with black helicopters." And I was like, "Black helicopters? Where have I heard this before?" I'm like literally a Taliban farmers talking about black helicopters. I'm just like, I know. I was just like, I just grew up like 20 years here in this story. It's like, but now it's in Afghanistan. He said, we're spraying these insects on their plants. And I said, you know what? We should be. I said, we're not that smart. I said, we should be spraying those insects on your plants. You're making poppy. It's like the people are dying of heroin overdoses in American streets and across Europe. I said, we should be destroying all your poppy, but we're not that smart to put aphids on them. And he goes, they always rub their beard when they're thinking. It's just like a cultural thing. He started laughing because their sense of humor is just like ours.
Yeah.
They're not like Germans and Iraqis. I hate their sense of humor. But Afghans, they're just like us, man. He was just like rubbing his beard. Yes, you're not that smart. And he's like, would you like to have tea? And I said, sure. So we're having tea and stuff, talking in this house, I'm just like, and at some point you're like, why are we bombing these guys? They're just a bunch of farmers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they don't want to attack. They attack us because we come in their village. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, who are the invaders? You got to keep in mind, in their culture, they get invaded all the time. So they're like bees. What happens when the bee gets invaded? The bee doesn't check if you have good intent. You know what I mean? The bee doesn't care. The bee's like, I don't care if it's a bear, if it's a honey badger, if it's somebody's hand. They don't care if it's Will Robinson's hand. They don't care. You're going to get ate up. And that's the way the Afghans are. If you come to their places and you've got weapons, if you don't have weapons, actually, like I was going out there without weapons. The cross-eyed guy they didn't care about. They didn't see him as a threat at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And actually, the weapon that we had is just more like for bandits. I mean, if the Taliban wanted us, dude, it's like if we came out with 20 guys in those villages, 20 well-armed Marines against a village full of Taliban, they're going to eat us alive. You know what I mean? You got to have a lot more people than that, and you got to have like air cover. This is their terrain. They're experts. They know where every divot in the ground is. They know where every hole in the wall is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're fighting it like experts, man. Their grandfathers talking about. When I was reading old books from the 1800s and like over 100 years old, well over 100 years old, about the old fighting for the British in the old books and old stories, and they would talk about how they would ambush the British, right?
Yeah.
And then I think I was with Tim Lynch actually, and we went up and we saw some of the old ambush spots. We're like, wow, this is like right out of the old book. Like they're still ambushing us, where they're like great grandfathers ambushed the British, and their great grandfathers, did somebody else British again,
Yeah.
and then their fathers and grandfathers attacked the Russians, and now they're attacking us. They probably never even, because you go up to these defensive positions and there's all kind of, they're like very difficult to see ambush positions that are made out of stones, and there'll be like shell casings laying around and stuff.
Sounds like the Hatfields and the McCoys. It's just a different continent away.
Oh, Lord, they are the ultimate Hatfields and McCoys, especially the Pashtun. For people who don't know what that is, like I was out with the Scottish, right? Well, I was the Scottish regiment in the British Army. What are they called? Black Watch, I think. And one of the Scots guys was like, intense with that as they are with revenge. And they're actually ultimately not bad people. You know what I mean? They're still in their ways. But then look at us. I was just at Skid Row a couple of days ago. What is our culture? What is our culture that's got, you can't go through San Francisco or Los Angeles Skid Row or so many dangerous places around our country, downtown Atlanta. You feel like you're going to get scalped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and you will get killed, And so, it is actually, if Afghanistan is not at war, it would definitely be safer than many, many American cities, for sure. You know, like Chuck Holton said the other day, my friend, war correspondent, he was just up in San Francisco. He's got video and somebody hit his car with a rock or something, right? And you can hear him shouting at him,
Yeah.
And he put on his Twitter, Chuck Holton did. He said something like, "This is San Francisco is more dangerous than Kiev." And he said more dangerous, I think he said, than the Darien Gap. I told some people that too. Yeah. When I go to the Darien Gap down in Panama, because Darien Gap is, can be quite dangerous. There's like 160 killed in the last couple of weeks from flash floods, right? And murder and rape is quite intense. That's why I have this rape kit. That OIM hands out. But that said, if you're not an alien going through their territory, the Indian territory, or through the FARC territory, the Colombian drug lords, you're actually extremely safe, except for maybe flash floods or malaria or something, right? And but the malaria is quite intense down there in Dingue, right? And a lot of that's caused by the aliens coming through. Actually, before the alien invasion, they had very little malaria, actually, but now it's total red zone. Like, I just got a message now, I think 15 malaria cases in Bajo Chiquito. I'll send it to you and you can look at it. Sure. And I think it's like 15 malaria cases in the last couple days were diagnosed. Let me just send it to you. And sure. So then you can look at it yourself. But the bottom line is like, one SEAL wanted to go down with me to he was running for Congress. He's a congressman now. He wanted to go down with me to Darien Gap, and he started talking about, I'm going to bring my buddies from SEAL Team 4 and we're going to get guns. And I'm like, whoa. No, you're not bringing guns if you're going out with me. Well, first of all, if the Indians, the Imbara and the Wunan Indians like you and the Kuna Indians like you, you don't need guns. Like with Pashtun people, if they like you, they got plenty of guns. If you need a gun, they're going to put it in your hands. You know what I mean? Because if they like you, you don't need guns against them. And if they don't like you, Mr. SEAL, you don't have enough guns.
Yeah, you
Because
shouldn't be
they'll
there.
kill your ass. They will kill you. And like, when you go up in this jungle, it's jungle warfare. What are we going to do? Take 10 SEALs or 10? They're going to steal all our guns. We'll be dead in the jungle. You know what I mean? It's like, let me tell you how you do it. You stop talking about guns and you go in without a gun and you just say, "Hey, you're a farmer. How's your crops going this year?" The next thing you know, you're out with them. I spend months with them, man.
Yeah.
I never need a gun. I have stuff like this. What good's that going to do? It's just like, you know what I mean? It's like, but actually, this is for actually building stuff.
Yeah.
When I'm because I'm often out there in the rain and stuff too. Like, I see these huts that they build. I'm out there doing stuff like that. I'm out there chopping banana leaves sometimes to get under the rain, And it's quite a time. Most of the people in the world, especially farmers, every country I go to, I can get along with farmers. It doesn't matter if it's the United States or Afghanistan or India or Nepal. You can get along with farmers. I don't know why. I get along with farmers so well. But I think most people can in every culture. If you just come in and you're non-threatening, you know what I mean? You don't have a camera in their face or something. It's like, "Hey, how's it going? How's the crops going this year?" And they'll probably start telling you about the rain. "Oh, this year it's been great rain and we have a good crop. God has blessed us." Or, "Oh, this insects are coming and the black helicopters are dropping them." And I'm like, and I'm laughing. I laughed when he said that. I'm like, we're not that smart. And I told him straight up, we should, because you're making opium.
Yeah.
He's laughing. He's laughing when I said that, because I said, and then we talked too about, he goes, and he's one of the many farmers that told me, "I don't like to grow opium." The reason they grow opium is because, first of all, when the Russians came, there's many reasons. There's multiple reasons for it. One reason is when the Russians came, they destroyed a lot of their Afghanistan has perpetual water problems. They either have too much or too little, right? They have these biblical floods. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like epic flash floods like you've never seen before. And they have it's desert of death, Dasht Margo, that sort of stuff. And so they're experts at how to use what water they have. Oh man, let me go on a side topic.
Yeah, go for it.
One night I'm out with my camera on a tripod. It's a full moon. And I'm with some Afghans. I got 1,200 millimeters of glass on this thing, right, with the extenders, so you can see the craters on the moon quite well. And the moon's, of course, moving through the screen, because it's really zoomed in quite well. And the Afghans, I'm letting them look through it, and we had to keep moving the camera, and they can see these real craters. Like, wow. And I was with some interpreters, and they're like, how do they do their water up there? That's the first Afghan question: is how do you deal with water? Because the Afghan farmer, he looks at that as like they're thinking water all the time.
Yeah, they're
right?
problem solving this thing.
Oh yeah, and I'm going right back to opium with this, by the way. And so we're looking at the moon, and everybody's there. I keep having to move the camera, and so because the moon's moving so fast at 1,200 millimeters, and then other ones are like, what do they grow? And I said, how many people do you think are on the moon? They're like, I don't know. How many? And I'm like, none that I know of. We sent 12 that walked on it, but I don't think there's any up there at this point. And I said, there's no water. Well, there is water on the moon. There's some ice up there, but it's not like flowing or anything. And they're like, really? I thought people lived up there. Anyway, the funny thing is they don't know stuff like that. But when it comes time to like doing stuff, these guys are brilliant. You know what I mean? And so anyway, back to opium. Why do they grow so much opium? Actually, in years past, they didn't grow as much. But when the Soviets came in and destroyed their Kerez systems, Kerez are underground like aqueducts, and they're very difficult to build. They're amazing. If you look up my name in Kerez, you'll see a lot of photos of Kerez, and you'll see me describing Kerez and how they build them. Kerez is K-A-R-E-Z, K-A-R-E-Z, right? Kerez. So these. When the thing is about Kerez, they can go for like 10, 20 miles underground. So you can smuggle weapons there, you can hide stuff there, you can but they're actually for irrigation, right? And also they'll use them for air conditioners. They'll like build your house on top of a Kerez and it'll have cool air. You might think these poor people are living out here in this heat burning up. They're like, dude, they got an air condition made from underground stream. You know what I mean? You go in there, it's nicer than where you live. You know what I mean? And they can just drop their water down and get the water out in their own house. But anyway, that's not in all places, but some places. But so when the Russians came in, I had a manual on this. It was in Russian, and I have a translated version somewhere. But it was showing the Russian Soviet soldiers how to destroy the Kerez systems because they were using the Kerez systems. If you destroy a Kerez, it's like destroying an artery, right? You can destroy like 10 or 12, 15 villages that are using that Kerez.
Yeah.
Because all these villages will be built, and all their farms will be around lined up with that Kerez, right? And so the Russians came in and started blasting those things with explosives, and they have a manual on it actually, because it's kind of you can't just like drop a grenade and it's not like a Hollywood grenade, you know what I mean? You have to like detail how to do it, right? And so it destroyed their ability. So if you destroy certain strategic Kerezes, you would be depopulating the area. Everybody has to leave. They can't grow anything. They don't have any water.
Yeah.
To move over to places like Pakistan, and then they eventually became the Taliban. You know what I mean? And then anyway, so long story short, they didn't have the water. Now, opium. The opium that they grow, that is, you make heroin and whatnot with, doesn't need very much water. It needs, I think, about 1/3 the water of normal. I could be wrong in that if my memory is correct. It needs very little water. It's very hardy. The opium's very hardy, right? And also the value density is quite high. This much opium would be worth a lot of money, right? But this much tomatoes or grapes is not worth that much money, right? So and also it'll last a long time. The opium can get frozen. It can be hot. You can put it on a mule. You can't put like tomatoes on a mule and take them over to Pakistan and sell them, right? And so when their pomegranate orchards were destroyed, their vineyards with their grapes were destroyed. Take 6 to 8 years after you plant grapes for them to be mature enough to start making money again. If my memory is correct, it's about the same with pomegranates. I may be wrong on that, but that's roughly accurate with grapes. So they're not a cash crop. And if you don't have the money and your place has been destroyed, the Russians came in and destroyed all your orchards and your pomegranates and your grapes, orchards and your pomegranate trees and all that. And now you're down to what? Opium, right? And opium's a cash crop. Like you can do more than one crop per year, 2 or 3 even, right? And so, but what they don't, so the good parts for the farmers about opium is a little bit of opium is worth a lot of money, and it'll last a long time. Like you can bury it in the ground or whatever, right? And and also it's a cash crop. I mean, you don't need as much water. It's very hardy, and you don't need to wait for 6 to 8 years for your grapes to be rebuilt, right? But the downsides of opium is they don't like to do it. It's more work. They have to lance the things and scrape it off, and they're like, it's a lot of work. It's more work than even for a farmer doesn't like to do that much work. And we make a lot more money actually on grapes. Mm-hmm. Their grapes are so good, man. Afghan grapes you've never had. I was talking about that with Zabi a couple of days ago. Afghan grapes, you could sell those for multiples of the price of American grapes. They are absolutely unbelievable. And they're tomatoes. Like Zabi, the guy that almost was the Afghan suicide bomber. And we talked about grapes a lot. We were talking about them the other day over lunch. Like how much. One time I called Zabi up, maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago, because he got his wife to the United States. Actually, we helped get his wife out of Afghanistan because she went back to visit her dad who was sick, and then the collapse happened, and we were helping. They got American passports now, and we worked hard to get his wife and children back out. They were already in California. They went back to Afghanistan, and they were visiting father. And then the Taliban came, and they're Baluch people. They're not Pashtun, right? So the Taliban would definitely kill Baluch people, right? And so, and his children don't even speak Baluch. They only speak English. So, and the problem is his boy, who was 14, when the Taliban were coming knocking door to door, if they hear him speaking English and you can't speak Pashtun, because they won't talk to the wife. If there's a boy that's like 14, which he was, they won't, even a 12-year-old or 11-year-old boy, they will be like, I can't talk with your mother. They'll talk with the boy, even if he's like 11 or 12, right? And so, and he couldn't speak Pashtun, right? He was very afraid they're going to knock on the door. And he was texting me at the time too. I was like, oh Lord, And anyway, they're out now. They're back in California. But we were talking about tomatoes and grapes and all that. And I called him up, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, and I was like, how do you like American tomatoes? And he's like, well, you have a lot of food in the markets. And I was like, no, how do you like American tomatoes compared to Afghan tomatoes? He's like, the price is very good. I'm like, Zabi, you know where I'm going to with this. Do you like American tomatoes? He's like, well, I enjoy America. Because he's Afghan. He's not Afghan. He's Baluch, which is, Americans would call him Afghan, but they're very polite. They don't want to say something insulting like about it, even our tomatoes, right? And I was like, just get to the point. Our tomatoes suck compared to yours. I know, because I've had Afghan tomatoes and I've had our tomatoes, and I love our tomatoes until I had Afghan tomatoes. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, that's what an actual non-modified tomato or grape is like. Yeah. When you have Afghan grapes and you just smell them, man, you're like, oh Lord, it smells like ambrosia. You know what I mean? You get one of those Japanese knives and slice it real thin, and enjoy it like a French person would eat real thin slices. I have to say, I actually like the Afghans. I had a good time with them. I can't say as much about the Iraqis, and I know the Iraqis are going to send me bad messages, but
I love that you got off on this sidetrack, man, because I love anthropology, as you know, and it all connects, because kind of like you were saying, it's all about the relationships, and no matter where you are in the world, you got more in common than you don't, and odds are, I remember learning about this stuff and going, man, what a bunch of boring crap. And I was thinking about modes of production as far as being a farmer or having goats or whatever. But at the end of the day, it kind of all comes down to, can you eat? Can you get water? Where are you going to sleep? Where's your family going to bed down? So no matter where you are, it seems like there's that commonality that you kind of got that, you can build that relationship and get that intel or just just hang out with that cross-eyed guy that you were talking about. It's all about building those bonds, man. It's about that trust.
Was so funny. The cross-eyed guy, I got photos of him. I really liked it, but he was also funny. It's funny about the farms on the moon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another thing, like one night, there was going to be a full moon. I mean, an eclipse. Yeah. And I warned our forces. I had a huge readership at headquarters and everything, and I knew when I published something like this, it would be sent out to all the commanders, right? And I said, hey, we're going to have a full moon in a couple nights. And I said it. I published. You can look online and you publish it. Not a full moon, an eclipse. When you have an eclipse, they're going to run out and they're going to start shooting at the moon, right? So be careful. Like when the eclipse happens, and all of a sudden you see a lot of tracers firing by. Like, don't light them up. They might actually be your friends. A lot of cultures do this. They think the devil is stealing the moon, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to scare them off. English have done this. Scottish have done this. Irish have done this. Ask old Irish tales. They'll be like, oh, they get out and beat the pots and pans. Chinese will be shooting fireworks and firecrackers because this is a thought around the world. In the solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, somebody's trying to steal the moon or the sun, and they try to scare them off, screaming, shooting guns in the air, boom, RPGs. They're not even attacking anybody. They're attacking, the devil trying to take the moon, And I was like, just be careful. Just go inside until the eclipse is over and then come back out. And if they shoot at you then, light them up. But just make sure you're not, shooting at some random guy that's shooting at the devil,
Yeah. I mean, that's so funny. It sounds like the Aztecs a few thousand years ago with the sun worship and the moon worship. Oh, the sun's not going to come up until we sacrifice a couple thousand people. So,
yeah, that's how they roll.
Well, I don't know if you got time, but is there what's going on with these underground tunnels? I heard a little bit about that on I can't recall the person talking about it. I apologize, but they were saying there's a quite sophisticated. We're not talking about me and you in the backyard kind of digging for a couple hours. This seems like a very sophisticated electricity, well lit. You can fit a couple people at least through kind of tunnels going on. Are you seeing any of that on the border?
I saw it in the news, and we're near the border. We're near where those tunnels were, but I don't know anything about it that I haven't seen in the news.
Yeah.
And so, now that could change later tonight when we're out with Border Patrol people, but I don't have any insight on that. I'm seeing Oscar Blue sending me messages from Darien Gap right now. And actually another fellow, Antonio Aguero, he's waiting for me to go to the border right now.
We'll get you out of here.
Yeah, let's see what Oscar says.
All right.
Oh, he just wants to talk about something. Yeah, I'll give him a call. Yeah. He's down in Darien Gap. You know Oscar Blue?
I think I've tried to reach out to him, but I don't know him personally, no. I think I've definitely seen his research, and I think I've just shot, like the generic send me an email kind of link with some of these guys, but I haven't talked to them now.
Both him and Antonio, like I'll be with Antonio on the border tonight, Antonio Aguero, who's on Antonio's Twitter is like at Aguero for Texas, I think. Something like that. I think it's at Aguero. I mean, I'm always tagging him, but it just pops up. And then Oscar Blue is hold on. He's heading to. He's taking off to border set. I told him, said, hold on, wait. Let me let you go, man. But Absolutely. You should be interviewing. I got to get to the border.
That's all right, man.
I'll talk with you soon. All right, man.
Thank you so much, Michael.
All right. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye, sir. Well, folks, if you missed any of that, feel free to check it out again at anomicage.com. You can rewind, fast forward, save it, and share it at your leisure. anomicage.com, where you can find all things me. As I always say, you can't do everything, but you can do something. So please try to get out there, do your part, and make a difference. Be safe out there. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.